You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 18, 2022 meeting of the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right, today is October 18th and Common Council regular meeting is 6:30. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. And if you don't mind, if you're in the audience, please silence your phone. And as we go through the meeting, if you come up to the microphone to speak, please either announce your position title. If you are a resident, please also share your address as well. All right, Ms. Nyla on the roll call.
Mr. Dabney.
Present.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Present.
Mr. Matt.
Present.
Ms. Deitch.
Present.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye. Present.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Present.
Mr. Simmons.
Present.
Ms. Jagus. Present. And Ms. Tillman.
Present.
We have 9 present and no one absent.
Thank you, Ms. Nyla. We move on to the approval of the minutes. We are moving on to the approval of hybrid Zoom October 4th, 2022 regular council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Don Prespolinski and a second by Councilman Bryant Dabney. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Matt.
Aye.
Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Jagus. Aye. Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
I abstain. I was absent.
And Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and 1 abstained.
All right, thank you. Minutes passed. Are there any reports of any standing committees? Any reports of any standing committees?
Madam
Yes.
President,
Yes.
I have a few. First of all, I'd like to start with the sanitary district, and I handed out to all the council members this report from Haas and Associates, and it deals with 6 residencies in the city of Long Beach, and I'm not going to name any addresses. Don't need to. But what they're doing, they're looking into a process of what's called a proposed pressure sewer system to replace the septic tank pump and haul procedures that they're doing. And speaking to the superintendent at the sanitary district, this doesn't involve the city whatsoever at this time. The way I understand it, these systems will be put in at these 6 residences, and then it'll be pumped over to a sewer. Okay, and then from the sewer, it'll go to the sanitary district. So that's the proposed concept right now. And like I said, we have nothing to do with it at this moment. Not to say that we won't, but I just wanted to give all this. I know just as much as you do with this report, and that the city has nothing to do with this process that's going on right now.
Can I add something to that? Because I did forward something to Attorney Harris. I did receive a correspondence in reference to this project where they were interjecting some comments in reference to our annexation. And if you can still follow through on that, because I know that I didn't think it had an impact.
I agree. I did take a look at it and I will follow through on that. I think it's also worth noting that if they put in this private system, you're correct, it will go to public sewer.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it results in some treatment costs, et cetera.
Mhm.
But yeah, I will study that and report back to the council.
All right, thank you. Any additional?
Yeah, and I also have a additional report to the council that the city or the town of Long Beach has not responded back yet to the sanitary district and the repayment of the engineering cost of $550,000. And so nothing is happening there as of yet. I do want to announce that tomorrow, and as was stated in the Herald Dispatch in the weekend edition, that Michigan City's environmental success story, and this deals with the sanitary district. They are to unveil the new nature preserve at the former Carwick Road dump site. That'll be tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. And this area was originally used as a city dump site from 1965 to 1971. The sanitary district began clearing the area after a heavy rains exposed buried waste garbage into Trail Creek. And what was found was 9 acres of garbage, 6 to 9 feet deep in this area. And it was leaching arsenic and ammonia into Trail Creek. So after that took place, a 10-year cleanup project, revitalization project by the sanitary district will come to fruition tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Cheney Run, like I said, wetland preserve, the Carwick Nature Park with a ribbon cutting ceremony. And just hats off to the sanitary district manager, Mike Kuss, and the present manager, Mike Miladovich, and Steve Sanford for their efforts in the completion of this great project. Because I remember 10 years ago, had been on a council maybe for a year and got news of this bank that gave way on Trail Creek one Sunday afternoon. So I took a ride out there to see what was going on, and this bank was totally exposed, and you could see nothing but garbage was inside that bank. So the sanitary district got on top of it and put riprap in there and had that all closed up. But you know, hats off to them for doing a great job. And tomorrow is the ribbon cutting on that respect. And then just one more thing on a happy note is the Human Rights Commission. And I'm the liaison to the Human Rights Commission. That let's go back to March, which is Disability Awareness Month. They actually started on this project. And because they wanted to get it completed by the beginning of the school year. So what they did, and Bonnie Demke is the chairman of the Disability Awareness Committee. They spearheaded a collaboration with the Michigan City Area Schools Special Needs Department with the process of fundraising, which was provided by Harbor Trust and Stephanie Oberly of $1,000. And what the commission did is they purchased a special seat-fitted wagon, okay? And the seatware was constructed by Paul Demke, who's Bonnie's husband. The Human Rights Commission, then they went to the school system, and the purpose of this wagon and what it'll do is it'll be used by the Special Education Department, and it'll be used to help students that are 3 to 5 years old in the transition of entering the building if they have a hard time leaving their parents or guardians on their way, take them to class, take them around the school, use it for fire drills, what have you. So I just thought that that was a very heartwarming story that I saw in the paper, and being a liaison to the Human Rights Commission, I know how hard that group works to do things positively for the community. So I want to personally thank Bonnie and Paul Demke for their work, Stephanie Oberly from Harbor Trust for donating the money, Rhonda Metzel and Tiffany Hart, who are paraprofessionals there, and Kurtwin Ruger, who's a special needs teacher, for their collaboration with the Human Rights Commission in accomplishing that project. That is it. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, thank you. Any additional, yes, Councilman Bryant. Dabney.
Yeah, just a quick question. How delinquent are they in terms of paying us back that $500 plus $1,000 that they owe our sanitary department?
Let's see. When did we vote on that? Where are we at? We're in
It was,
October now. We voted on that. I don't know, August, July?
it was
maybe,
back in
somewhere there.
July.
They were supposed to, as far as I understand, after we voted it down, it's supposed to be a 60-day period, and then they were supposed to start paying us after that. But I know that Councilman Dabney, that the sanitary district has sent a number of letters, phone calls, with no response back from the town of Long Beach. So
All right.
unfortunately, that's where we stand right now.
Thank you. Any
Yeah.
additional questions? Additional questions? All right, moving on to the Finance Committee meeting. Yes, Councilwoman Tracy Tillman.
Thank you, Madam President. The City Finance Committee met this evening at 5:35 PM. And we went over the claims docket for October 18, 2022. Fund number 2042 Riverboat claims in the amount of $13,823.04. Funds number 2031 Boyd Development, there were no claims. Total claims, $13,823.04. We also, to give an update with the current riverboat balance as of September 30th, 2022 is $4,023,948.19.
Thank you. Were there any recommendations on?
The claims were approved.
Okay, the claims were approved. I'm sorry. I missed that. Thank you. So we have claims docket for October 18, 2022, Fund 2042 Riverboat claims for the amount of $13,823.04. Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved by
Second,
Councilman Bryant Dabney and second by Councilman Don Privilinski. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus. Aye. Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
And Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, thank you. Are there any reports of any special or select committees? Special or select committees? All right, thank you. Any reports from the mayor or any other city officers and departments? Good evening, Chief Legault.
Good evening, Council President and council members. Doug Legault, Michigan City Fire Chief. I'm going to give you a quick report for the month of September. We had 281 total calls, 6 confirmed fires, 210 rescue/emergency medical calls, 7 hazardous condition calls, 7 service calls, 43 good intent calls, 7 false alarms, and 1 special incident type. Narcan was used on 6 calls. I just want to quickly state, if any of you ever have any concerns or questions about the fire department, please contact me and I will meet at your convenience. I'd like to thank Council President Deitch for meeting with me the other day. We discussed the purchase, how we're going to purchase the new fire truck. We still need to figure that out. We are still in desperate need of a fire truck. Our 15-year-old fire truck continuously breaks down on us. We do get it fixed, back in service, but we need something more reliable. Our 10-year-old fire truck that I want to replace next is getting leaf springs put on it as we speak. So things are in need of replacement. As soon as we get this one figured out, I want to get a truck committee together and determine what's the best needs for the city on the second truck that needs to be replaced. Like I said, anytime you want to meet with me, I'm willing to meet, discuss it. I would really like you to reconsider using ARPA money for this purchase. This is my thoughts. Please reconsider it. Any questions or concerns, just please get with me.
Yeah, and let me say this too. First of all, I know we've had several structure fires in the lab. Seems like it's all the time now. Is this is there something? I know you do investigations and all that, and we have fires, but it seems like this is a lot more. And I know that we are putting our, our firemen and firewomen at risk, but is this normal?
I wouldn't say normal. It does happen this way. It seems to come in waves. So especially with the winter, with the cold weather, furnaces kick on, space heaters are used, that sort of thing. We do see a rise come fall time usually. So, and it's usually in the waves of 3. I don't know why. It's always been that way. If you have one, you're going to have 2 more fairly soon after that. So, but yeah, always winter time, it does increase.
Yes, Councilman Dime.
Yeah, Chief, what's a good intent call? What does that mean?
That
At 43 good intent calls?
that can, hold on a second. Let me look. I believe that's going to be like lift assist. We do a lot of lift assist for like your when the medical alarm comes in, medical tag. I'll get some more specifics on that, but I believe it's mostly lift assist.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
Yep.
I've never heard of that term.
That can also be a complaint for like a fire pit, something like that. If somebody's unapproved fire pit, we get a lot of those calls, especially in the fall. People like to have little bonfires. If you don't have the approved, we get a lot of those. So that could be the intent call. So I'll check on that and get some more specifics for you if you want.
Okay, that's fine. Just send out an email to the
Okay.
to the council, what all that means.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions from the council? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other additional reports from the mayor or other city offices or departments? With that being said, Ms. Nyla, communications.
There are no petitions this evening either.
Petitions, thank you. Any communications?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office from Controller Hoffmaster regarding the cash position unreconciled documents of all city funds. Correspondence was also received in the clerk's office on October 12th, 2022 from Brian Gross regarding the application for renovation of a small industrial building, requesting this to be read in its entirety.
Is Mr. Gross here? Yes, he is. Yeah, you can, well, let me say this because I don't want to set any precedents. I have told people that we will not read these into entirety and let them do it during public comment. But if the person is here, I will allow them to speak to it if you would like to, Mr. Gross. I don't want to, I'd rather you come up and read it into the record. Oh, he can read it.
My name is Brian Gross. I live at 830 West 6th Street here in Michigan City. And I'll read the letter verbatim. Council members, prior to February 2021, my applications for renovation of a small building, which I own at 212 Cook Street, and for which I have personally performed all the work, has always been issued in timely fashion. Since February 2021, I have not been able to obtain building permits from the building department. This has deprived me from enjoying my property in the manner I choose. The current administration's position is that accepting a single or 2-family residence, which a person owns and resides in as his permanent residence, a property owner is not allowed to perform permitted work on said property without being a licensed and registered contractor in the various trades involved. There is nor has there ever been any such state or Michigan City code requirement. I have spoken at several council meetings, spoken to the mayor and to the building commissioner, never been able to reach the planning commissioner, written multiple letters and emails to all of the above, citing the relevant supporting code, but all to no avail. I talked to the building commissioner after the council meeting on June 15th, 2021, and she stated that she would organize a workshop to investigate suggestions for an updated building code, and that she would welcome suggested revisions. I have sent my suggestions for clarification of the code, but to date, the workshop has not happened. As a resident property owner and taxpayer, I cannot be more disappointed in the lack of a response of this administration to this problem, which affects not only me, but also landlords and business owners who may wish to update and maintain their properties themselves. After talking with past Mayor Sheila Matthias, who was Sheila Brilson, who's now LaPorte County Commissioner, she suggested that I try to have the ordinance modified to clarify the position of the City Council. Chapter 22, Article 11, Section 2261 states in paragraph 3, for the purpose of this section, and it goes on other stuff, it has exceptions, but shall not include any private person doing such work upon his own private home or property. I'll digress a little bit here. And basically that says that for the purpose of that section, you have to be a registered contractor, except if you own the property. Section 22-232 states in paragraph A, nothing contained in this chapter shall be construed as prohibiting any person who is the bona fide owner of a building or premises from personally installing plumbing, sewerage, or well work therein. Nor shall this chapter be construed as prohibiting any firm or corporation from doing plumbing, sewerage, or well maintenance work upon the premises of the firm or corporation, provided the permits required by this chapter have first been issued. I feel that these two sections clearly indicate the intent of the code to allow property owners to perform work upon their properties, and that the building department must issue the relevant permits without requiring the property owner to be a registered contractor. I ask if you support this position. I strongly urge that the city code be amended as follows to clarify this intent. And section 22-571, which is the purpose for chapter 22, article 9, I would suggest adding paragraph C. This article shall not apply to any private person doing such work upon his own private home or property. This language is basically just restating what's already in section 22-661 for a contractor, as quoted above, and will apply to the entire of chapter 22, article 11, which, again, a little bit off this, just by putting it right there at the front of that article, it should allow property owners to do their own work.
So thank you for that. And the reason why I wanted you to read this, because you have been here multiple times. I'm asking Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick, who is the liaison to the Planning Commission, to set the workshop and to work with Skylar and work with the building inspection to set that workshop up, and to make sure you include Mr. Gross when that is scheduled, to make sure that you can attend.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Can you please submit your contact information to? Oh, it's on here. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be at the bottom. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Nyla, the first resolution by title only.
A resolution by title only, approving the change of use of appropriated funds in the 2022 budget in the Riverboat Fund for the airport. And this is introduced by Mr. Simmons.
Yes, any comments from the sponsor? Turn your microphone on.
Basically, this is renaming funding, which was originally earmarked for asphalt repairs, to be used for a new maintenance building.
Right, thank you. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments from the council? Any comments from the council?
Motion to accept.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Tracy Tillman
Support.
and support from Councilman Paul Purpelinsky. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, thank you. The resolution passes. Ms. Nyla, first ordinance by title only on first reading.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Riverboat Fund for construction of new maintenance building at the Michigan City Municipal Airport. And this is also introduced by Mr. Simmons.
Any comments from the sponsor?
Yes, exists a dire need for a new maintenance building. I went out and looked at the building property. There's a lot of major equipment that will not fit into the building anymore. It has to sit out in the weather, which is not good for the apparatus when you get ready to put it onto the tractor or whatever machine you're going to use on it and function. And again, it's just in dire need to be replaced, period.
Right, thank you. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public on this ordinance? Any comments from the council? Yes, Councilman Don Privilinski.
Yeah, Madam President, and this is a question for Airport Director Ward. Good evening.
Hello, Jessica Ward, Airport Manager, Michigan City Airport.
Okay, so right now, we do have bids in for the building. Do you already have bids in
Yes.
for this new building?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and apparently the bids, you need another 130,000 to go with that bid.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And I know that you and I talked this afternoon. You've only gotten one bid, right?
Yes.
And what was the reason for that again?
Paul's here actually to talk about that too, if he wants to step up. But we did reach out to, was it 16? It must have been 16 different contractors.
Name and address, please.
Paul Schaefer. I'm with Butler Fairman Seifert, the engineer for the airport. I'm from Indianapolis, so not a local resident. Yes, we so because this was going to be partially reimbursed with the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, it went through a public advertisement period that had the federal provisions in it. So during that process, we advertised it in the local newspaper twice. And also solicited by email and phone 20 contractors, both locally and in the region. Of those 20, 6 of them became plan holders. And of the 6, unfortunately, only one was able to submit a sealed bid at the time. Follow up with those contractors afterwards. There were a number of reasons. Most of them amounted to either labor shortages with their ability to perform the work in a timely manner, and or materials, not being able to get the materials in the time frame that we had specified to deliver the building. So with that, we did enter some value engineering with the low bidder and was able to trim a little bit of cost out of it. Unfortunately, to meet the form and function of the facility that the airport wanted, we still need an additional $135,000. I'm sorry, $130,000.
You have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Councilman Paul, did you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Any additional questions from the council? Any additional questions? All right, this will be held over for second reading. Ms. Nyla, next ordinance on first reading.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Riverboat Fund for the construction of new fuel farm at the Michigan City Municipal Airport. And this is also introduced by Mr. Simmons.
Does the sponsor have any comments?
Yes, our field farm has basically almost outlived its usefulness. It's in dire need as well to be upgraded, replaced. It's currently underground. And the recommendation with mostly all airports now that your fuel tanks be placed above ground. And that's basically it.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments from the council? Yes, Councilman Don.
And I spoke to Airport Director Ward this afternoon about this also, and spoke to City Attorney Amber LePage about this. And the reason I did is because we got a copy of the minutes of the meeting in July. And in the minutes in July, under this above ground fuel tank subject, it says that the city attorney is requesting additional information from BF&S, making sure that we can use this grant money to reimburse the city for the appropriation. If so, this request will go in front of the city council. In speaking to Ms. LePage today, she said that she still hadn't got an answer, a clear-cut answer. And I guess that the BF&S company did state that this has been used on several other projects, and that's the way that these things are done. But Mrs. Ward and myself both said that we think it would be a good idea just to make sure that we send this down to our Baker and Tilly, our financial advisors, to make sure that we can do this without any issues coming back to do this. So, and with that being said, and I don't know, Mrs. Ward, if you want to come up and speak any more to this subject.
Okay, so the bill funds are new. This is like the first year that we actually have these funding. And it is, so there's two parts to the question. And the first part was, can we use this for a revenue producing project, which is for replacing the fuel farm? And a lot of the times the AIP, they don't want you, the FAA doesn't want you to use federal funds, AIP funds, for revenue producing projects, because that's a local issue. Like the local government, here for the city, should be the ones that, fund projects that are revenue producing at airports. But with these new AIP, the BIL funds that come through the FAA, we are allowed to use them for revenue producing. It states in there that you can use them for fuel farms as long as you are increasing the outflow and also increasing like the size of the tanks, which we are doing for both of them because we have the runway extension coming up and we're going to need more fuel. Right now, the fuel system that we have, I have to do splits in order to get a full load because it takes up almost our whole entire tank when we need a new load, and then we don't have any fuel, so we're waiting on fuel with nothing, waiting for a full load. So it's going to increase capacity of the tanks itself, which is going to help too. So that was the first part of the question: can we use these funds? And so the facts like page, which I put in the email, the facts page on there, it states, yes, you can use them for fuel farm as long as you're increasing capacity and flowage. So that was the first part of the question that we have answered. The second part of the question was asking if the city pays for this out of Riverboat, if we're going to be able to use the bill funds to put back into the Riverboat. That was the second part of the question. And I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. You can go ahead if you want to.
Sure. Well, as Jessica said, the bill program is relatively new, but the concept of reimbursing for federal projects out of other local funds is not new. And so I would liken this to if redevelopment or a TIF district, for example, and other communities have paid for airport projects. When the FAA has reimbursed that project, it usually goes back into the fund that which it came from. But again, Baker Tilly is the certified public accountant. I'm an engineer. So if, I certainly think it's worthwhile to have Baker Tilly weigh in on that response as well. But in my experience, I believe it will be okay. And like the building, we need to go through a procurement process. So we wouldn't be spending the money immediately. And there's quite a lengthy lead time on these tanks right now. So we would have to have publicly advertise for sealed bids, which would take 30 days from the time we get all the documents done, which we haven't started on at all because we don't want to spend any money on it until we have your blessing. So there would be quite a while before we actually even get the process moving to procure the system. So what I would also just reassure the council on is in the process, if Baker Tilly came back and says, no, you can't reimburse, we could always stop. And then prior to getting the FAA money, we also have to get those bids and submit them to the FAA before any of that becomes official. So there'll be another basically step along the process that we could stop the program if we will. But with Jessica's current situation, with the suction arm being stuck in the tank, she's unable to basically dispense fuel in the normal manner,
Correct.
Which is why it's kind of urgent.
Thank you. So you've already reached out to Baker Tilly for this?
I believe that the controller has, but of course she is out of the country right now, as far as I know. So I believe that she has, but we are not 100% sure if she has reached out or not. Where nobody is sure of that right now. Mary Lynn and I at least are not sure.
Okay.
Right.
And when is she returning, and why can't we just send something to Baker Tilly? Yes, I would. Because the longer we delay, and then by the time we hear back, at least by the time you reach out and maybe she'll be back by then, that would be appreciated. I know we have a comment by Councilwoman Dahlia Sheekus.
Yes, I have a question. I guess I'm not really too sure about how all of this fuel farming works or whatever. It says revenue producing. So I just remember like a few weeks ago, we just approved some like interim money to help you guys out with your fuel. But if it's supposed to be revenue producing, what's going on with that? So explain to me just really briefly.
Sure.
What's happening with your revenues so called?
Yeah. So the revenue, when we order a fuel, we come like in June and request money for our next year for our fuel purchases. We ran out of money because the fuel cost is more than what we had available. So we ran out of the money. So, but we make money on the money that, you know what I mean, that you gave us. So we make money on that. We make at least 50 cents a gallon for every gallon that we sell. So that comes back to the airport and is moved back into our cash flow, So, but we ran out of money for actual fuel purchase. So the revenues are in a separate pot. I'm not the controller, but the revenues are in like a separate pot. I take out of, what we have available and the revenue goes into a different pot. And then that's a controller thing that they.
Okay, so that's something I think we have to take a look at, because if you're making money, but you're asking us for more, that just seems, so I need to get clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Don.
With the information provided, and I just don't want to see, and I know that the engineer said that, we could stop the process down the road. We go ahead and get started, but I don't even want to get to that point. I want to make sure that what we're doing is okay. It's legal. And I'm sure Baker Tilly is not going to take a lot of time getting this information. I'm sure maybe they could get it done within a week's time, and we could come right back at the next council meeting and start over. So what I'm going to make a motion now is to table this ordinance until the next council meeting. I'll let Baker and have the controller's office contact Baker Tilly next Monday and start working on this process so we can find out by the next council meeting where we stand on this. So I'm making that motion.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Don Privilinski and a second by Councilwoman Tracy Tillman. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Ms. Deitch,
Nay.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Nay.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Nay.
and Mr. Mack.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I
You call the poll?
would, at this time ask, would it be appropriate to have our attorney contact Baker and Chili?
Finish the vote and then.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There are 6 in favor and 3 opposed.
All right. So this is tabled until the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Until the next council meeting. And we will follow up with our attorney and working to get something drafted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Nyla, the next ordinance by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending section 50-283 in the Michigan City Municipal Code, known as the Fire Code Compliance Inspection Fee and Non-Emergency Medical Assistant Fee. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch.
All right, and what I will do is have the fire department come up and talk about this in particular. And this is about increasing some fees, but also establishing a new fund.
Good evening, Jeff Bruder, Fire Marshal for City of Michigan City. Just a real quick note here. As you all know, 5 fires in the last 9 days. They all have one thing in common, and that's displacement. So we're at 15 people have been displaced in the last 9 days. So I guess basically is when we're done with our wrapping the hose and putting the trucks away and the guys get back to quarters. One thing that we don't really see all the time is the people coming back to their homes and seeing what they don't have. So what we were trying to get established, and mostly the intent for this, and I've spoken with a couple of council members on this, and I think this is one of the most important pieces of legislation that we could pass in a long time. And it's going to benefit everybody. We do have assistance in other places, and that's like the Red Cross. However, in the last few years, Red Cross has moved out of town. I'm not saying they're not reliable. I'm just saying that it's time consuming. In the middle of winter, the last thing we want to do is keep these people outside. We want to get them indoors, get them shelter, let them lay their head down for the night, and let them gather their thoughts. There's a gap between that kind of assistance and assistance where their insurance or the trustee or some other avenue kicks in. And I saw it today. Both families that I've been dealing with in the last 48 hours, they're all in the same boat. There's that gap. Fortunately, they had someplace to go, and it doesn't work out for everybody all the time. So we have an inspection fee that we collect from every year, and that's for the business inspections that we perform to make sure everyone's compliant, to make sure everyone's business is up to code. So we visit these businesses. There is a fee, and the intent is to increase that fee slightly and take a portion of that fee and introduce it into our assistance program. Definitely, we definitely want to do a workshop on this. I know there's a lot of things that need to be ironed out. We have 90% of it down. It's the support of you and the controller to make sure everybody's on board, make sure all of our checks and balances are in place. And it would be as simple as issuing a debit card the night they're standing there wondering what their next move is. We issue them a debit card. There's some funding on there. They can go get a place to stay. They can go get toiletries, amenities that they need to get them through that gap. Working with local businesses, when they see this card, they're going to get help from them as well. So, like I said, this is all preliminary. This is the start, and I think this is a good direction. This is positive for everybody.
And there is going to be a public health and safety workshop that we're going to work on a date to schedule for next week, so that we can review, go through this with a fine-tooth comb and make sure we make some additional changes. And Councilman Bryant Dabney is also a sponsor of this as well. I just realized that we didn't say that. And also, this is Fire Prevention Month, and just understand that seems like we've had an uptick, and I think there's a bigger education piece that we need to deal with families when they go through this and what their steps are. Are there any comments from Councilman Dabney? Yes.
Yeah, I called down to the clerk's office and asked to be added to it. And they said I had to make the official request at the meeting to be added as a co-sponsor to this legislation. So even though my name's already on that.
Thank you for that.
And we talked about this issue before. People have these fires and they're displaced, and we talked about no local Red Cross. I know they come as far away from as Fort Wayne.
That's correct.
And we've had, times where like 4 hours before they even show up. So a person is without a place to stay, without money to go anywhere for 4 hours.
That's correct.
So like I said, we had this discussion before, and I fully support this. And I'm sure we're going to work through this.
We did have an issue not too long ago where we're all wondering what we're going to do to try to help these people. And Larry Butcher, former fireman, now over at EMA, came over and had funds to help these people. I think that's great. They have the ability to do that. But I believe that with what we do here, we can help our own.
And before we go to public comment, one other comment, a little background. Has that fee been increased any? And since it's been...
I think it's been $30 for at least 20 years.
So I just wanted to make sure the public understands that. All right. Did you have something?
Yeah, just one additional comment. I know this proposed ordinance gets the conversation started. After that workshop schedule, there will be a need, if we go forward with this, there'll be a need for an additional ordinance
to create the fund.
To create the fund, and also to include any financial protocols that will be necessary. It's not that those won't be included in this ordinance, but they will be in the accompanying.
Yeah. And we discussed that there was going to be 2 ordinances, but we wanted to get this done first. So thank you. Thank you for giving some clarity.
Absolutely. And just one more thing before I go, being Fire Prevention Month, it's time to change your batteries and your smoke detectors. We did have a couple the last few nights that did alert the occupants. So I want to say good to those people that had smoke detectors. They are available through the fire department if you don't have the means to get a smoke detector, and by all means stop by and pick one up.
Yeah, free of charge.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Any comments from the public? We'll come back to the comments from the public.
Commissioner Rodney McCormick, Michigan City Housing Authority. I want to thank the fire department and Madam President. This is a great idea. We've been trying to help a lot of people that was displaced because of fires, and they had nowhere to go, nothing to do. It's a bad situation, and any little bit helps. So hope you guys get this passed quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the public?
Commissioner Patrick, Michigan City Housing Authority. Something that I just thought of, I don't know if they've thought about it either, but I work in the world of insurance. So under each insurance policy, there is a provision called loss of use, which goes into effect to help with displacement of people that, for whatever reason, fire. So if that's something to think about as well, working with insurance companies. So
thank you for that. Any additional comments?
Yeah, Tommy Klovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I'm a big proponent of having both smoke and carbon monoxide detectors in your home. I personally have 3 of them when I bought my house in 2013. That was the first time when I replaced all the old relics, and all mine are hardwired in 120 volt with 9 volt battery back. When the battery goes weak, it'll start chirp, chirp, chirp every 3 minutes. They'll drive you nuts if you don't replace the battery. We bought a few houses, bought and sold a few houses for my nieces and other family members, and it's always amazing. None of these houses that we bought, they never have any working smoke and carbon. They'll have a TV cord going in every room, but no working smoke and carbon monoxide detection. That's the first thing I do. I just had my heat exchanger broke on my furnace over the winter. The carbon monoxide alarm went off back in February. I had to have my furnace replaced. City and Heating and Cooling did a good job on that. But that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the public? All right. Comments from the council. Councilman Paul Pribilinski.
Madam Chair, could you put me on as a co-sponsor, please?
Yes, sir.
And I really this brings a lot of attention to the turmoil that a house fire creates. I think this is a good piece of legislation, and I like to thank Jeff for your comments and expanding on this picture. Very traumatic experience. I never went through it, and I hope I don't ever go through it. Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Don Pribilinski.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor. And I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I know it says here that it's going to be $50 is going to be the annual inspection fee for businesses.
Again in 2023.
Okay, why was it settled at 50?
That's because I picked
Can we
it.
go higher? I mean,
well,
I'm just saying. No,
we looked at other cities.
Well, but what my comment is, I mean, to do a fire inspection, I don't know how long it takes to do a fire inspection when you go into a business and you do a fire inspection. Okay, but you have, I don't know what, 1, 2 firemen that go in and do an inspection. And, you start calculating the man hours that it takes to do that. And I don't think $50 covers that. I think maybe $75 or $100 would cover that and really increase this fund even more and quicker than what $50 is going to do. I just think that it should be increased. I don't think any business owner is going to squawk at paying $100 to have a fire inspection done on their building.
Before you answer, it's a double-edged sword. So let me say a couple of things and reason why I settled at 50, because there are surrounding communities that do charge 100 and more. But I've had some situations with some smaller businesses, specifically daycare providers, that are struggling with funding, especially through COVID. So I didn't want to jump it with us just coming out of COVID that fast. So that was a personal preference since I drafted it, that it's $50 for now, and then maybe we could step it up over time. But we wanted to have that conversation at the workshop to see what would be the best amount. I just threw that on there based on some conversations with some other businesses that had to have this inspection before they can get their approval downstate. And it was a lot more than just this inspection, but that was the reason that we were going to call the workshop to see if there were other opportunities. Yes, Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. One question I wanted to ask is, and I know this probably will come up at the workshop, but once the fund is created, would the fees be the only way to add funds to it, or would there be a component for maybe accepting public donations, or could we possibly add a certain amount of riverboat funds into it just to get it started? So if we get this passed and then, the unspeakable happens, it's already ready to go and it's not sitting there with $50 in it. So
yes, and yes, and count yes.
And I also want to add it as a co-sponsor.
Yes to all of the above. and they say, yes, you can add money to it. So any additional comments from the council? All right, with no additional comments, this will be held over for second reading, and we will get a workshop established from the Public Health and Safety Committee to further expound on this one. All right, Ms. Nyla, next ordinance on first reading.
Second reading.
Is it second reading?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, transferring dormant fund balances, dissolving dormant funds, and repealing section 2-400 new police project fund, section 2-409 marketing promotional fund, and section 2-410.1 lead safe fund in the Michigan City Municipal Code. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Principal.
Any comments from the sponsor?
Just that the two funds that were mentioned, MC Mark, also 30 fund. And the fund 4800 new police station project with $281.21. They're dormant. We just closed out that money put in general fund. And also I'd like to have third reading on
All right, we will go ahead. We have a motion to move to have this read on third reading tonight.
Support.
And second by Councilman Paul Privilinski. Ms. Nyla on the vote for that, and then we'll come back to comments on second reading.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
and Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, we are on second reading. Are there any comments from the public on second reading? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments from the council? Yes, Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick.
This, Councilman Prespolinski, the lead safe fund, is that also included? It's a dormant fund or it's not being used? The lead safe fund?
Yeah, that's not being used.
Was that the fund that the lead committee was working on and then it wasn't funded by the administration, so we missed some of the grant or something like that?
Sent the grant money back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Any additional comments? Yes, Councilwoman Delia Jigas.
Yes, like reading this over, it looks like only 2 of the funds have a balance. The rest of them have 0 balance. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of these other funds. They have 0 balances or what? 'Cause I can't figure that out. Sorry.
Looks like they spent all the money down and they're just sitting there and we don't use them. Is that correct?
So is that gonna? Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's right. We have our wonderful
I don't
deputies
have
here.
it in front of me, but I think a lot of it is some of our refunding from bonds too, because at each bond, we actually set up a separate fund, and as we refunded some of those, then basically these funds are just sitting out there. And we have to have council approval before we actually.
So
take
you don't
it
know
off.
the total exactly? Approximate total of funds in this giant list?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
Do you know the amount of funds what the total amount is approximately?
It's just the lead safe.
It's
I
just
think
the 2.
Just that and the police station
Right.
and the market. Those are the only ones with balances. Everything else.
So everything else has 0. That's what I was asking. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Any additional comments from the council? All right, we will move to third reading. Ms. Nyla, by title only, this same ordinance on third reading.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, transferring dormant fund balances, dissolving dormant funds, and repealing section 2-400 new police project fund, section 2-409 marketing promotional fund, and section 2-410.1 lead safe fund in the Michigan City Municipal Code. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Any additional comments?
No.
All right, any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments from the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Don Privilinski and a second by Councilman Paul Privilinski. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Jagus.
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Matt.
Aye.
Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
And Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, we don't have anything under new business. Under unfinished business, We still have 2 nominations that are present. We've received several applications, and we did receive a letter, but it was not on any appropriate letterhead. So we have sent that back and have not received any correspondence in reference to these 2. So they'll be held over to the next meeting again. Comments from the council, from the public. State your name and address.
Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street, Michigan City, Indiana. Last meeting, I had to stand before you guys and listen to my name be besmirched. I peacefully took it because I also give it out. One thing I don't like to be is lied on. I hope by now each one of you board members had a chance to look at the Alco videotape and see that there was no comments coming out of my mouth other than motion to move to adjourn. I'm really here to talk about the lack of leadership by Dwayne Perry. And I want to make sure this is perfectly clear. Belinda Lee was an employee at the Michigan City Housing Authority, where she was hired through nepotism. One of the first things I discovered that she was using a maiden name, and she was married to Willie Lee, and she also was first cousins of another board member, and that's how she received her job. I reported it. It's a serious violation. Our attorney is here. When you receive federal funds, you can't participate in nepotism. She was removed. For some reason, I had to come to a hearing here in this chambers. I had to come in this meeting, this hearing, watch Michael Mack with his gestures. Sean Fitzpatrick was present. And I had to put up with torment from Miss Belinda Lee and her husband and other people that was being removed. I didn't say a word. I kept my mouth quiet, didn't say nothing. The mayor of this city knew that he didn't know at the time who Belinda Lee was. I believe that it was maybe an honest mistake, but the more I look at it, all this was staged. The mayor of this city should have never put a woman that was removed because of me. Should have never put that woman on the board with us. There's 3 other members that sits on the Michigan City, sat on the social status. That's also from the Housing Authority Board. To be tormented or my name to be dragged in the mud is shameful. When I brought it to the mayor's attention on July the 20th, and I filed a formal complaint, starting off with Kim Williams, Pastor Kim Williams, who also had a problem with Miss Lee, and they had to speak to her because I wasn't at the first meeting that she attended. It was chaos. But anyway, I brought it to the mayor's attention. And when I went to the office, him and Chris Yagelski both, we had no idea. He slapped his head and said, if I'd have known who she was, I wouldn't have put her on there. The things we will do for a promise of a vote or some kind of support is ridiculous. I sit here and watch a pastor come in here, several pastors come in here, putting their non-for-profit status on the line, knowing the attorney will tell you the same. You cannot be directly or indirectly involved with politics. To come in here to try to intimidate you guys, if you support Rodney or you vote for him again, we won't support you. In this city council chambers, this is what we resorted to in Michigan City. If anybody that don't like Rodney McCormick, I live at 617 Union Street, or invite me to your church if the doors of your church is open, or invite me to your home if you want to talk to me. Our personal dislikes should not be ironed out right here. And I take offense also to what Mr. Mack said, that I try to get everybody removed from this, that, and the other. Mr. Fitzpatrick made it clear that the whistleblowing ordinance, he fought tooth and nail for that whistleblowing ordinance. We got city workers who are scared to talk because they come to me with the hope that I will put something on Facebook. Mr. Mack, when the whistleblowing ordinance or any ordinance that you guys pass is violated, who are you supposed to come to? Like me or not, if you want to remove me, don't wait till next year, just remove me. but remove me because I failed to do my duty or I failed to do my job. And just for the record, yesterday, last week, we turned in a $4,000 check on behalf of the Criminal Justice and Educational Subcommittee, from which we received from the LaPorte County Council to take kids to the Disabled Museum. So we are doing great things on the social status. And I will venture to say this, prior to Ms. Lee coming on our board, we was full steam ahead. I bought our members shirts. I donated a banner. That's one of the issues. Can't donate a banner. You want to argue about stuff that's not even relevant. It's not really an argument. It's really trying to get back at me. We need to make sure our pastors stay in their place, and everybody else should stay in their place as well. But if you want to remove me, please remove me because I failed to do my duties, not because of a lie. And I thank each and every one of you for voting for me. And I promise you, I will not let you down. No matter what anyone else say, I never call that woman out her name. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Any additional public comment?
Good evening. I'm Linda Simmons, Director of Marketing with Visit Michigan City LaPorte, our County Tourism Bureau. I've handed out to all of you this evening our 2021 Community Report. We do this every year just to let our partners and our community know what we've been doing all year. And this is just a small piece of everything that we do as a Tourism Bureau. So I wanted to be sure all of you had a copy. If you have questions or anything, give us a call at the office. And then also wanted to thank all of you, the City of Michigan City, firefighters, police, EMA, Michigan City Park Department, and Port Authority. Hope I haven't left anyone out, for the great job everyone did for our Great Lakes Grand Prix powerboat race this year. Our economic impact report has come in. It actually showed this year people spent money, which is really good to see that people had money to spend to enjoy themselves and so on. And we did raise the bar again on the economic impact number. So we'll get that out as a press release. But we wanted to just thank everyone. And another big thanks to Terry Greetham, was fabulous as the event director for the city. He was fantastic in working with us, especially with a lot of the parking issues that we've had over the years. So we just wanted to be sure that everyone had a copy of this to kind of see what's going on. And if you have any more questions, give us a call. And then we've got a great 2023 planned. So keep on look, go to our website at visitmichigancitylaporte.com. And like I said, we're right there in Marquette Mall next to Planet Fitness. So thank you again.
Thank you. Any questions from Mrs. Simmons, since we have her here? Any questions? Great book, but I just want to make sure. All right, thank you. After Mr. Kalavic, we do have someone online that we'll take.
Okay, Tommy Kalavic, 1316 Ohio Street, and we're all going to get on the bus, and I'm going to take all you council members on a little field trip. We're going to go visit one of our neighbors. This is a web article from the website InsideIndianaBusiness.com with Gary Dick. This is published on Friday. This kind of goes hand in hand with Michael Mack. You know, he's trying to push for this field house that we're trying to get and this and that. And Global unveils plan for $30 million sports and rec facility. The Valparaiso Parks Department has unveiled plans for a 248-acre, $30 million sports and recreation campus. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report the project includes 7 turf fields, natural walking paths, an outdoor plaza, and multiple playgrounds. The complex will build on farmland on the city's east side. The City Redevelopment Commission purchased land for approximately $4.7 million. In March, the City Council approved using federal funds from the American Rescue Plan to reimburse the RDC for the land acquisition. Valparaiso Matt Murphy says the park's features are meant to create a campus that will serve a diverse community with a wide range of interests and abilities. The publication says the park design includes 3 main areas. The northern section, the Northplex, consists of 4 multi-purpose turf fields with lighting, a restroom concession building, and ticketing. The central area, Community Plaza, includes 10 pickleball courts, administrative building, and a medical facility. The southern section, the Southplex, has 3 more turf fields for football and soccer, and one of the fields includes bleachers and a scoreboard. The Parks Department says the south end will also include nature trails and wetland, which already exist on the property. It says over 50 acres of green space will be a patchwork of native prairie, wetlands, and forests crisscrossed with bridges, boardwalks, and walking paths. The Valpo Sports Recreation Campus is a long-term project that one will extend beyond any one mayor or city council, said Murphy. With an eye out towards the future, the city has secured this property to provide a special place for both us and future generations. The city hopes to begin construction on this park this spring, and the project is slated to be completed by summer of 2024. I just wanted to add thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalawi. You don't have anything else tonight? That's interesting.
I just want to say everybody got two more Saturdays for the Michigan City's Farmers Market, 8th and Washington, 8 to noon. We all need to go out and support our farmers. You know, as our farmers, they really struggle and have it rough because, you know, they can barely make it from week to week.
Thank you. All right, who do we have online? Yes, Mr. Scully.
Yes, thank you, President. My name is Wes Scully. I reside at 508 Pine Tree Drive, Trail Creek, Indiana. And just to give you a little quick spiel, which I hardly ever do, I'm not like a Facebook guru or fan, even though I do deal with it. I was at that meeting last week and I heard my name being dragged through the mud for some of the things that I do. And some of the stuff that I do, I just want to share with you real quick. I've been an employee at Bethlehem Steel, ArcelorMittal, now Cleveland Cliffs for 47 years. I've raised my family in Michigan City. I've been here all my life. I've coached football. I've shared my entire life with people, in particular people of Michigan City. I've dedicated numerous hours and hours of time. As an NAACP president of Branch 3061, I've taken kids to HBCU schools. I've taken kids to other colleges in Indianapolis, like Ball State and Indiana State, and so on and so on. I've taken kids on field trips. I've taken kids, I went to the prison when I was operating as a minister, a youth minister, and ministered young men that's incarcerated. I can't tell you how many numerous times I've left work, my job, to go and sit with a mother begging me to help her get her son, keep her son from going to prison. I don't even know how many hours I've done that. I've been doing this for 11 years. My wife has started an awesome business called Soul Power, where we've graduated 17 students from our program to giving them opportunity to get employment in the solar panel industry, which is getting ready to just blow out of the water. We're not behind the 8 ball on this. We're trying to be in front of the 8 ball on this. And she's doing a magnificent job. I mean, I can go on and on and on. For a person to run an organization for 11 years and not get a dime, I don't get paid for nothing that I do. For someone to stand up and talk about they dislike me because of my politics. I thought we had a constitution. I thought we lived in America that you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. And because I don't want to vote for someone that you don't want to vote for, and you can't control what I do, you got a problem with me. I think that's childish. I mean, we can do better than that, you know. And I mean, I've honored through our Trailblazing program, first responders, community activists. I've honored physicians, teachers. I mean, I can just go down the line. So I'm trying to figure all the time, where's this tremendous amount of hate come from? Is it jealousy or what it is? Look, a person that threatened me before that it was going to take my place, that they own this city, okay? And I say, well, you know what? All you'll be doing is relieving me of a tremendous amount of work over a long period of time, and I deserve to rest anyway. but I'm going to keep going just to keep my wife's program going. And if I don't make it through, you know what? God bless the soul that makes it in, and I'll be right there to help them continue this great work with this great city. And I know that it doesn't matter. It takes a village to raise a child. I'm willing to take the back seat to keep the peace, to make things keep going straight forward. Because I'm not about drama. I'm not about stress. And I don't get on Facebook and write lies about people and then add your words to it and send it out and then tag it with the IRS and stuff like that. I mean, how bogus is that? So I'm just letting you know, look, I'm not about childish games. I'm not about foolishness. I'm just a person that's trying to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. Any additional comments online? Nope. Any additional comments from the public? Yes, Mr. Ernie.
Ernie Hollahan, 302 Gladys Street. I'd like to touch a little bit on Mr. Gross's situation. I'm with him. I totally disagree with that. You should have a right to do what you want with your property. It's your property. You bought it. If you have to get a permit, that's fine. But as far as dictating to you that you have to hire a contractor to do it, I totally disagree with that. I own 3 properties in this town. 2 of them I redid completely myself with what I could do. I did use some contractors that I couldn't do, but this is becoming a dictator to them people now. That's the uncalled for. And then another thing I seen in the paper, where all these schools are getting these grants from downstate. South Bend schools getting millions of dollars grants. Several around town here. But I didn't see Michigan City schools in there. They bought this building out here. And last I heard, they've got $1 million in the rainy day fund. And that building's going to eat up that rainy day fund. And where are they going to go then? They've lost a lot of money from kids leaving this area and going to different schools. Westville is one big one that takes a lot. My ex-boss, his granddaughter goes over to Westville. And they was telling me that the seats, they're putting 3 to a seat now for Westville schools on that bus. Why can't we bring these kids back to our schools? The parents are afraid. All the fights that goes on out there, it's sad. We need that income back in Michigan City, not going out of town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the public? There's no public comment. Public comment is closed. Yes, Councilman Paul.
Madam Chair, I would like to introduce our new chief. If you would take a few moments, Chief Steve Volker, could you come and present yourself? I reserve my time.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Again, Chief of Police, Michigan City Police Department, Steve Forker. A little bit about myself. I'm a 17-year veteran with Michigan City Police Department. I have served as a detective, a patrolman. I've worked patrol shifts. Recently, I've served as a school resource officer and public information officer. So I had my hands in many things within the department. I have I would say, a well-rounded knowledge of the police department. I'm looking forward to this opportunity. Surround myself with Assistant Chief Marty Corley, Assistant Chief Dave Cooney. Together, we're working together as a team to address and make this city great. You know, we're here and we want to do great things. The city is growing. There's a lot of projects, a lot of investment into the north end currently. It's happening every day. We continue to see the prosper there, and
I believe that the police department's going to play a big role in the growth of this city. So we're looking forward to your guys' support, to working together with you, to make this city great, be a great place to live. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Yes, Councilman Paul, you have the mic.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I look forward to working with you and going in a new direction. And one statement I have is that I believe in this new direction that we can get security through strength. And that statement should answer a lot of questions for a lot of people. But I want to talk about a problem house on Fulton Street. And I hope that my comments, the administration and the building and the city planner hears my complaints. There is a house that is terrorizing the neighborhood in the Marsh School District. This house has been going on for months now. With an active shooter over there. And I believe that it is time to come to the table with some teeth in our codes to do something with these type of nuisance problems. So I am going to investigate what's going on and get some kind of format put together. Hopefully the city administrators already been working on this, because I believe that this house and many more houses in our neighborhoods are nuisances. And I'm not pointing a finger at any particular ownership of any of these homes, but I believe there are nuisances and they need to be dealt with. Because when somebody is shot or injured, then people take action. We need to take action now. On another subject, I believe that we need not forget to create a fund for sewer replacement fund to help individuals that have sewer problems that are outside of their property lines. I have a couple individuals in the second ward that have problems, and I know that they exist around town. And we have adequate amount of funds to create some type of funding mechanism. Also, we need to create a fund to create and jumpstart this gooseneck program, replacement program for the water department. But also, we must not forget about creating a fund for the quiet zones to be investigated in the city of Michigan City, that all neighborhoods will receive some kind of equity and quiet, and also increase their property value. But one last thing I gotta say is that I am utterly dismayed at the Board of Works and their contemptuous new rule on tyranny, that you can't go there and say something happens, but you gotta fill out a form before the agenda comes out on that meeting. We never had that. We never had that. So you know how I look at that? I look at it as people do not want to take public comment or input, and it is putting a it's limiting free speech. That's really how I look at it. that we should have the right, that's the Board of Public Works and Safety. Say if something happens to you or in your neighborhood on Saturday or Friday night, and the Board of Works meets at 8:30 on Monday morning, well, you're gonna have to wait a whole nother week to go there. And then you have to list on there who should maybe be at the meeting. But I want to say that to me is a slap in the face for everyone that lives in this community. It's totally objectionable. And I hope that everybody on that board, probably have somebody here at our next meeting wanting to debate with me. But the fact of the matter is, truth hurts. They're trying to squash public input into a public board, the Board of Public Works and Safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Paul. Councilman Bryant Dabney.
All right, these comments, I hope to keep them brief. But this is in regards to the new change of leadership at the police department. First of all, I want to congratulate the new chief and the people that have been appointed to the police department. They do serve at the mayor's request. And I had a question a little bit about the press release that came out and some of the things that were said in there, and just wanted to express some concerns on that. After extensive review, the excessive number of officers leaving the Michigan City Police Department and the impact this is having on the city, and steadily increasing number of gun-related incidents and shots fired throughout the city, I feel changes within the police department are necessary. I tried to get a report sent that talked about how many people have left since Chief Campbell was assigned as the chief of police, and how many have come in that same time frame. The report is here, but I didn't have time to look at it and go over in any detail because I came straight from work right here to the meeting. But there's a lot of blame that I'm seeing in this meeting. Steady increasing number of gun-related incidents and shots. The state of Indiana isn't helping us out, as we all know, in regards to a lot of 18-year-olds to go pick up guns and without a permit and drive all over, where, to do whatever they want to do with these guns. And I don't see anything like credit about the last chief that worked out the flock system that we're trying to have input here to combat some of these shootings and things of that sort. I know Chief Campbell did go to numerous public hearings in churches and things of that sort to hear opinions of the public. I don't remember too much of that happening in the past, with the intent of trying to get a grip on some of these shootings that were happening around town. So I'm here somebody can actually say, I'm here to defend, some of the things that were not put in this letter, that didn't take any accountability for himself, but wanted to dump all the responsibility on the back of the chief. And then coupled with a much more vigilant effort addressing gun violence. What exactly does that mean? I know the chief had put together, I can't remember the name of the force that was created. They'd be a little bit more aggressive, and they have been making some busts and things of that sort and finding guns. So I didn't get a chance to get all this information before I came to the meeting. But there were things that were happening that were not mentioned. And it sounds as though he's saying a more vigilant attitude or change in department leadership will successfully overcome these issues, and that almost like the people or the police department was not working for Chief Campbell. But now, since there's new leadership, they'll pick it up. That just didn't ring very well to me when I read this letter. But I do want to thank Chief Campbell for his service to the city of Michigan City, as well as Jillian Ashley. I know Marty Corley stayed on in leadership. Once again, congratulations to our new leadership, as they do serve at the mayor's request. And hopefully, I know he's put the pressure on you, basically saying this is going to decrease the shootings in the city by replacing leadership. So that's a tough bar. Hopefully, with the things that we have in place that are coming, like I said, the flock system and other things that are happening as well, that we do start to curb some of the gun violence. And just like I worked with Chief Campbell and before, I'll continue to work with our new leadership as well. But this press release that I saw, I felt like it was trying to place a lot of blame and no accountability of self in this letter. So I want to express that. A lot of my constituents have been calling me expressing that. But hopefully we're going to move forward, move in a good direction and get things going. So I wish I had time to have read these statistics of the amount of officers that have left, the ones that have come on. Why have they left? Before we actually passed a new contract, a lot of them were leaving simply because of pay. And I don't know if, they wanted the chief to dump in his own pocket and start paying folks. But now we put together a new contract and we'll see some new officers come on, raising the starting salary from $43,000 to $51,000 should help. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to see too much of those results. But once again, after my, I guess I could say kind of a complaint of, sending out a letter with no responsibility of self as being the leader of Michigan City, that we can move in a positive direction here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Don Privilinski.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just to add on a few items I'd like to talk about before I get to the new police chief and the old police chief. And this is something that I had spoken to the Park Department, Eddie Shin, about, Maintenance Director Pat Volz. And to some people, it may not be a big deal. To me, it is a big deal. And we accomplished the goal. And as you come over the bridge, Franklin Street Bridge, and going into the park, that giant monument there, which is a Civil War monument, to me is the most beautiful piece of monument in the city. It's probably the biggest monument in the city, and I always thought that it needed to be lit up like it's the biggest and prettiest piece of monument in the city. And the Park Department got that done. They put 4 brand new LED lights around that. If you go take a look at it, it's a lot brighter. It's a lot more significant, and I think that that needed to be done. Plus, it enhances the look of Washington Park. Street Department, Sean Smith, and for those that live around Gardena Playground, Water Tower Park, or Tall Timbers Playground, the new LED speed limit signs that have been put in place, those were put in place last week. And I want to thank Sean Smith for getting that done. Also, don't forget to get out and vote. All right, very important. Now, on to the chiefs of police. First of all, I want to thank past Chief Dion Campbell for his service, for his commitment to Michigan City, for his compassion, trying to make Michigan City a great community. And I agree totally with what Councilman Dabney had to say this evening, that I believe Chief Dion Campbell did have programs in place trying to combat the crime. These things don't work overnight. A lot of shots fired. If somebody has a suggestion on how to eliminate that or how to stop that, then maybe they should come to the council meeting, or maybe they should go to the police department and talk to the police officers and say, hey, this is how you stop that. Well, I haven't seen anybody do it yet. I haven't come up with ideas, but I believe that Chief Campbell did. So I want to thank him for the service to the community, his 20 years on the police department, and all the great work he did that. And good luck in his future endeavors, and to his family also. Now for the new chief, I want to welcome the Chief Forgner to the police department. You and I have spoken in the past. I have all the respect in the world for you as far as being the new chief police here in Michigan City, and your new leadership team. And hopefully you gentlemen will be able to turn things around and show us the programs that can combat this type of activity that's going on in our city at this present time. And I will support the police department and the leadership team, just as I have always since I've been sitting on the city council. Public safety is number one, both for the police department, for the firefighters, and for the families of the individuals that work for the police department and fire department. Because I look at it as officers come to work, officers have to go home, have a safe work environment so they can go home to their families. And that's my number one commitment to those departments. So anyway, Chief, good luck on that. Now, I'd like to make a couple comments on the way I found out. And I don't know how the other council members feel about this. If you want to express your opinions, that's up to you. And I have expressed my opinion before as far as communications coming from the city mayor to this body right here, which to me is non-existent. So here's how I found out about Michigan City now has a new police chief. I came home from the football game Friday night. My wife says, "Hey, I got some news for you." Because she didn't go to the football game with me. She didn't want to sit out in the cold. So she goes, "Michigan City has a new police chief." I go, "Really?" I didn't know any of this was taking place. She goes, "Yeah, it's on Facebook. Sergeant Forgner has been promoted to a police chief. Deion Campbell's been let go." I mean, how is that? Okay, we're supposed to be the leadership team of the city, but we learn on Facebook by people talking back and forth. So I get here tonight, there's a press release sitting in front of me. Okay, and it's dated October the 14th, which is last week, Thursday. And I talked to Angie. I was thinking, because my phone wasn't working. Okay, I was out of a phone for a few days. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I didn't get this email. But speaking to the president of the Michigan City Council, she didn't even get this response. And looking at the other council members, I see heads shaking. They're saying they never got any information on this. So you got that. Same thing here, based on the concerns, and this is from the mayor to the chief. Based on the concerns I've discussed with you during our conversations this week, the issues the Michigan City Police Department is experiencing, I am hereby relieving you from your position as police chief of Michigan City, effective Tuesday, the 18th, which is today. Okay. But this is dated October the 14th. Once again, nothing said to the city council at all about this leadership transaction at the police department. Disappointed in the leadership of the mayor on this particular subject? Totally. The city council could have been included or at least notified prior to this whole transaction going on, or notified directly after it took place. It's up to the mayor to make that decision on who the chief is, who the assistant chiefs are. And I understand that, and I respect that. But at least let the Michigan City Council members show some respect to us, whether you agree with our philosophies on the way things are voted on or directed in the city. That's one thing. But we're still supposed to show respect for each other in the positions that we hold and the information that's given to each other so that you can run an effective city. And in this case, I don't think that was done. Thank you, Madam President, and welcome, Chief, and good luck.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Gene Simmons.
Yes, I would also like to go on public record to thank Chief Campbell for his service and commitment as chief, and wish him good luck in his endeavors, whether he decide to retire or to stay on to the department. And I'd like to congratulate Sergeant Faulkner and let you know that you have our full support. And we can all move forward after this. I was also embarrassed in regards to how I heard of it. I heard of it from a friend out in the county. At the very least, the mayor could have notified our president. If he didn't want to notify the whole board, the body, notify the president of the council. But he chose to take a different road as usual. All I can say is it wasn't professionally done.
Any additional comments from the council? Any additional comments? All right, I have a couple things. So this Saturday is the Women's Commission's annual meeting. It's going to be at the Franciscan Senior Health and Wellness Center at the old hospital at 301 West Homer. And we have a full agenda and we're going to have a potluck. So come one, come all. And again, that's this Saturday, our Women's Commission's annual meeting. Second thing I want to address is something, and it was profound, and I think we missed it. But at our last meeting, Mr. Mack stated that, we're not HR. We're not here to mediate, for all these different issues with different people. And we did some training earlier this year for the boards and commissions, and we probably need to do another one. On agendas, meeting notifications, all of those things, or at least send the link out. And me and the clerk have discussed putting a checklist together for all the boards and commissions so that we can do things in order. But one thing I will say is going forward, all this back and forth, we are not going to tolerate that. That is not for here. We are one of the only city councils that allow comments after every single reading, comments at the end. We are probably one of the most open, transparent councils in the state. Everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't allow comments on every single reading, comments at the end. I mean, we do. We allow a whole lot of that. And I just think that if there's going to be any issues with boards and commissions, that you put it in writing to the council and the mayor, and then we mediate it. We don't need to get up here and embarrass ourselves in the city, because people from Lake County were making comments, and and I'm like embarrassed that we're fighting over something, just back and forth. He said, she said, and I think it just is a horrible reflection and depiction of the leadership of Michigan City. We are better than that. So that's going to be a recommendation. I'm going to recommend, and maybe we do it by resolution or ordinance, that I know people volunteer their time and they get a little $50 or whatever it is, that we force them to do some training of some sort, because we have a lot of new people that are on boards and commissions that have never been a part of anything. And maybe that's part of it. And I don't, personality issues and all that, that's not what this council is for. That is not our that's not what we're here for. So more to come on that in the upcoming weeks, but that is something that we are going to have to force, because it's a lot of commissions that are struggling with their agendas, their meeting minutes, everything, and it's causing conflicts in the clerk's office because we expect them to be the catch-all be-all for everything, and we have to train these commissions and boards to understand what their role is and make sure they have their own ordinances and they know what they're capable of doing. So that's one thing, and I'm gonna get off of that. The next thing, Redevelopment Commission, I want to share that we approved movement on the Barker Lafayette Sewer Project last night, and we have been working with Tim Haas and Associates and Mr. Wright, and working out a solution on getting that thing online. And we approved some monies yesterday for phase 1 of that feasibility for that project. So I just wanted to give an update on that because it's been the pipe to nowhere, right? So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that was happening. Next, attended the Air Compressor Academy open house here, where I don't know if everybody knows this, but Michigan City is like one of the top in compressed air companies in the Midwest. Number one. We have many companies that are here, and at the high school, because I want to touch on this, at the high school, they have the Compressed Air Academy where they're looking to have students working there and coming out making good money right out of high school. And I know we talk about, grants, school system does receive grants. And I will say this about the Brown Mackey building. Because I just actually met with Dr. Barbara Easton Watkins and someone on her team about that building and how they're handling the financing of that. So that building is going to be a pipeline. I don't know if people know that we are short 600 quality daycare seats in the city of Michigan City. 600. And daycare providers have shared that they're struggling to get workers. This is a pipeline, but will also serve as a support system to daycare providers. So I don't want us to get caught up in, we need to go to the school board if we got some of those things. That's not much we can do, but try to meet with the school system to understand how we can support them. Because I will tell you, the class of 2019, I think, and maybe 2018, those were some of those students that were at Eastport for early learning. And when I tell you that those classes were fantastic, highest number of distinguished grads, highest number of test scores, highest number of this, highest number of that, because they were going to pre-K all day and the city helped fund it. And when that funding went away, that went away. And I don't want to get on my high horse about the state and what they're doing, but I will tell you, crime, everything is impacted by early childhood education. And we need to be figuring out how we're going to support that. And so I don't want to get in a back and forth about, Brown, that building. I think it's fantastic that they're doing something to alleviate that issue. So okay, I'll leave that one alone. I guess I'm gonna take more time than I normally take. I'm sorry, y'all. I thought we were gonna get out of here a little bit sooner, but we're not. So as far as the comments, and then the robotics open house is tomorrow, 5 to 7 at Michigan City High School. If you all should have received the information. It's a wonderful marketing piece on all the previous participants and where they're going. So now, I would like to congratulate you, Chief Forker, on your position. I will say that the mayor is a coward. And let me say this. I found out while eating dinner, because everybody's texting me that is posted on Facebook on Friday about 6 o'clock. So with that being said, I'm sure Stan Maddox called most of us. None of us responded, though, I don't think, about the replacement. Let me say this. The way it was handled was terrible. It is his prerogative on who he puts in that position. But to sit there and to do it in such a cowardly way, just understand that he's wanted to get rid of Chief Dion for a while. He has. When he went through the whole water department letter and all of that, which was petty. The mayor is petty. We know he's petty. And I don't care if somebody can come up here and say, well, she's running for whatever. I don't care. It was petty. He has done it in such a bad way that if we have any dysfunction within the city or within the police department, he didn't help it by doing it this way. And so as a leader, he should have stepped up and said, listen, your time is up, and left it at that, thanked him or whatever. But instead, he sends out this faulty press release. It is so poorly. I don't know who wrote it. Whoever wrote it, they should fire that person too. Because it was so inadequate. It was so inadequate. And it was so wrong on so many levels. Why would you try to embarrass? This is the second time that he's done that. That's the second time. And everybody was in an uproar when it happened before. And again, if he had made a change, I would have been like, that's his prerogative. But it's the way he did it. And then to, run and hide like he always does when he does something like this. And then to do it on a Friday, after work. We can even put a resolution together for it was just horrible. And I think that we can do better, and we're going to help you do better. I know you to be straight up and straightforward, and I appreciate that. So just understand we've received notification about union contract stuff. So we will be calling an executive session with police and fire separately at some point here in the future. But the council, I think we're all in agreement that it was just wrong. And I think we can be better about how we handle things. And that was just so inappropriate. And I just want to thank Dion for his service and whatever he endeavors to do in the future, because he's going to land firmly on his feet wherever he's at. So whether it's here or whether it's in another position, I just think that the mayor could have been a man about how he handled it, and he could have handled it in a more professional way, and he didn't. And that's a reflection of the city. My South Bend friends, that's what's going on again, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of defending the actions of people that are just so curmudgeoned and inadequate. And I looked that word up, and just neglectful. It's neglectful because we represent all of the city, and we sit up here and we don't agree on a lot of things. We sit up here and we try to do what's best for the city, only to have a leader just, spit on everybody. And it's just so ineffective. So with that being said, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.